Sofia Coppola is here. Her 1999 feature film, The Virgin Suicides, established her as a director to watch. Her latest is Lost in Translation. It stars Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson as Americans who meet in Tokyo. Here is the trailer for the film.
You are and what you want, the less you let things upset you.
You really are having a midlife crisis, huh?
I am pleased to welcome Sofia Coppola to this table for the first time. Welcome. I got to read this because it just sort of says everything. I mean, this director is getting an extraordinary amount of attention. This is a cover of New York Times Magazine, a very good piece of which there's a lot of interesting stuff in, by Lynn Hirschberg. She was the dilettante daughter of a Hollywood legend. Whoever thought she would become one of America's most promising directors? Here is why they are saying that. There's a great deal of excitement, I'm reading this now, in the independent film community and also in Hollywood, with talk that Bill Murray's performance should earn him an Academy Award nomination. Lost in Translation is no ordinary American film or typical independent film. With its subtleties of character, its strange, luminous pictorial beauty, especially in its distillation of Tokyo, its literary attention to telling detail, its unforced blending of comedy and sadness, and its dreamy intimacy, the film summons place and sustains mood, as few contemporary films do. It also hints in everything from the set to the soundtrack at a finely tuned sensibility, a hollow, here-there globalism. Not bad. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you say you would not have made this movie, or in this article you said that, without Bill Murray. No Bill Murray, no movie.
That's true. I just didn't have any, I had to do it with him. I just knew he was the perfect person for this.
Why?
There's just no one like him. I mean, he's just Bill Murray. He's this great combination of funny and sensitive and sincere. And I wanted to see him in this romantic part that I'd seen him have moments of in Groundhog Day and Rushmore, and wanted to do a film centering around him.
And this says something about you. It was not an easy sell. In a great kind of notion, he said that you had to cast a long line, suggesting that he was a fish that was way out in the ocean to rein him in.
It took a lot.
Why was he so hesitant, let's say?
I think he just he's elusive. He's not one of those people that checks in with his agents every day. He has his whole his life outside of his film business, his private life and family, and so he just doesn't stay in touch with all the business people.
He's not looking for the next opportunity. He's living his life.
Exactly. So and which is unusual in the film business when people are really pursuing a career, which is not. So I spent months stalking him, and luckily, Wes Anderson was nice to me, and Mitch Glazer, my friend, who's a friend of his, put in a good word for me. I sent letters, and but then eventually, when he responded, he was very nice about it.
Well, you had dinner with him, and
yes,
I mean, you did everything. You left telephone messages. I mean, they are saying, and the reason I'm asking this, it is said now, as so much copy is about you, that once you set your mind to do something.
Yeah, I think as a director, you have to persevere and have that kind of persistence, and people have to say no to you 100 times, and you can't give up, and that's part of, I think, being a director. But it also makes it fun too when someone says no. It makes you, I'm going to get it.
Then what is it about, and what is the attitude? I mean, the mindset. This magazine draws this thing, and it's sort of silly, but I mean, it shows all these people that are in your orbit. They include Kate Moss. It includes Anderson. Wes Anderson. It includes, obviously, your Spike. It includes a range of people that are almost like extensions of they're friends, but extensions of some kind of loose-knit family.
Well, I think, most people in film business, you like to work with the same people that you work well with, and I like to work with my friends because you spend so much time working that, my music supervisor is a friend of mine, Brian Reitzel, and I love working with him. We have things in common. I just done a video with Kate Moss for the White Stripes, so that's why she's in the web that they've pictured there. But
you, in this video, what was she doing in the video?
She was doing a pole dance.
And how was it to get Kate Moss to do a pole dance?
She was very game. I just asked her, and she was up for it. She liked the White Stripes in the song, and she was a very good sport because it wasn't easy.
Who else did you cast in Lost Temptation?
In Lost in Translation,
Lost in Translation.
Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson.
Why her? She's
had,
very young.
Yes, I remember seeing her in a movie called Manny and Lowe when she was maybe 9 years old, or as a kid, and I always was taken with her quality and her deep voice and her kind of dryness. And so I met with her when I was working on this, and thought she would be an interesting interesting match with Bill Murray.
Why would she be an interesting match with Bill Murray?
I don't know.
These sort of instinctive things you know or don't know, but you can't explain.
Yeah, I mean, I just liked her quality, and there was something that I related to in her quality, and thought thought she would be a good counterpoint to this kind of lost girl.
What's this film about?
What is it about? It's about these two people lost in their lives, and it's exaggerated by being in Japan, where it's already confusing and there are no names on the streets, and finding a brief connection. To me, it's just about those moments in life that are fleeting, but the impression stays with you.
It is said that that's what you like to make movies about, small moments, encounters that change your life.
I like the small details that seem epic at the time, but it can just be a very subtle thing. I like those moments. So.
I mean, this is obviously an independent film. Some might say it's a small film. Only cost you, what, $4 million to make?
We did it, yes, very low budget.
27 days of shooting, I think I read somewhere. You can do that because you're disciplined.
Well, it was kind of the only way to make this, so you just have to figure out how to do it in those limitations, but it also gave us a creative control when you keep the budget that small.
Why Tokyo? You wrote the script, so you created Tokyo.
Yeah, I spent time there in my 20s, and it always made a great impression on me. There's nowhere like it that I've ever been to, and it's so strange and exciting, and I always wanted to do a film there.
There was, in fact, a time in your life after Godfather 3, say, that performance in Godfather 3, in which you created a company called, what's the company called?
Oh, Milk-Fed.
Milk-Fed. And it's huge
It does very well in
Japan. And there's even a store or something there.
We have a store in...
And it was that, you traveled to Japan because of that, or...?
Yeah, well, a friend of mine had a clothing company that she asked me to come help her do a fashion show there, and then when I was there, I met the company, they asked if I wanted to do a little line, and so my friend Stephanie and I thought, oh, we'll try this, and it was fun to start our own company. It started out just t-shirts and very simple, and it still does very well there, so it gives us an excuse to go to Japan every year.
So your movies don't have to make money because you got all this money from this clothing company.
Well, I make my living from that, so I have the freedom to...
You make your living from the clothing companies?
Yeah, so I have the freedom to not make money from film business, so you can make choices completely creatively.
What about Japan so intrigues you?
That you just click with certain places, and to me, I met a lot of interesting, creative people there that got me into different music and photography, and it feels like a very exciting modern city, and they're so into style, and people
so
I met.
Compact.
Yeah, and it's just like, and the extremes of so modern, and then an ancient temple next to this neon craziness. But it's really like being on another planet, so.
And the other thing that's remarkable, we were talking about before, Japan has gone through such extraordinary, I mean, everybody was saying in the 70s and early 80s that Japan was the model of the future. And then they have been struggling over the last 10 years, even at the expense of serious blow to their self-esteem. And changes in the culture, I'm told, in terms of the relationship of women and to the society and lots of those kinds of things.
Yeah, no, it seems like it's going through lots of changes, and there's an excitement in that, I think.
Take a look at this. This is a scene in which Bill Murray, this just shows you a lot about this movie. Bill Murray is being photographed for a Suntory whiskey ad. Here it is. This is why he goes to Japan.
You know Shinatora?
Old Blue Eyes.
Yeah. It's good, yeah.
That's more of Dino. That's Dino.
Yeah. Okay.
Joey Bishop, would you like?
Yes, just change fields. Are you drinking? No?
Am I drinking?
Yeah.
As soon as I'm done.
You do an interesting thing with actors, which is you give them, and certainly in this, you gave him an opportunity to add his own lines. Now, did you see some of that, or was that pretty much the script?
in that scene, that was a lot of improvised dialogue. I would whisper things to the photographer, and he would say the names, and Bill didn't know what to expect, and he was just reacting off of that, which was really fun to watch. So he's a great improviser.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, if you look at Saturday Night Live and you look at the fact that he's been a comedian, they tend to have much greater facility for improvisation.
Well, I knew from Saturday Night Live that he would be great at that, and that was one of the reasons I wanted to work with him, because I knew he would add a lot to it.
Do you expect that of all your actors? That they have a certain freedom that they can add to the script?
Well, I like to be open when we're rehearsing to their ideas, and then see what works and what doesn't. So
because you can always have control in the editing room.
Yeah, no, they listen to me when I ask them which way I prefer it. So
Bill Murray said that you were, notwithstanding appearance, slight, petite, whatever it might be, that there was simply a will of steel. You think he's right?
I think, you have to be determined to pull, get these things made. So I think underneath it I can be tough. But.
What did the criticism of Godfather 3 do to you, or for you, or both?
I think it makes you stronger taking blows, because you realize that you can survive.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't the worst thing in the world, but you got beat up.
No, I got beat up, and it was right when I was 18, so you're already feeling a little awkward about yourself, so it wasn't pleasant, but it wasn't the end of the world.
It makes me stronger.
Yeah.
But did you then decide, this acting is not what I ever wanted to do, so I don't want to do it now, let's go find something?
Well, I wasn't planning on being an actress, and so I just did that part when my father asked me to, and I'd like to be open and try everything, because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. But then afterwards, I was going to art school, to college, and so I went back to school after that and continued. I was studying painting and fine art.
At some point you studied photography, did you?
Yeah, and then from that I got into photography. So.
Can you tell what influence he's had on you, your father?
My father? I think just by example. I mean, he's so enthusiastic about film and making personal film. I think that's a big influence. And also just having the will to make something, no matter how hard it is.
And your mother makes documentaries.
Yes, and she makes art now, and so she always encouraged us.
Take a look at this. This is another scene. I want to get 3 scenes in here. This is when there's an unexpected visitor in his hotel room, and then in a third scene we'll see Charlotte. Take a look. Bill Murray here.
Stockings?
Yes, rip my stockings, please.
Rip your stockings?
Yes,
you want me to rip
please,
your stockings?
please, please.
All right, I'm going to rip your stockings.
Yes.
And you tell Mr.
Yes.
Kazoo, we had a blast.
Oh, no, Miss Harris. Oh, my God. Don't touch me. Mr. Bob Harris. Don't touch me. Just rip my stocking. Oh, no, Mr. Harris. Oh, no.
What is going on? You love this scene because...
It's just fun to put Bill Murray in these situations and watch his reactions. So.
But you had no idea what was going to happen, or
no? It was.
You know what she was going to do because that was scripted, yeah.
But there's just something funny about putting him in these kind of torture situations and watching him.
And did he like it?
I don't know. I think he was amused, but sometimes maybe not as much. But
sometimes not as much. Give me an example where he just said,
No.
"Sophia, no."
No, he was
almost the way he's looking to the woman who wants him to rip her lip.
Yeah. No, it never got to that point. He was really a good sport. He was game for the whole thing, because we were running all over Tokyo, and there wasn't a lot of downtime, and it was not luxurious, and he was really gung-ho.
All right, here, this is one scene in which we finally see the two of them together. Roll tape, here it is.
I know.
When did you do this?
I did it the other day. It hurts,
Didn't you feel any pain?
Yeah, it really hurt. It was...
That toe is almost dead. I think I got to take you to a doctor. You can't just put that back in the shoe.
No, you don't think so?
Well, you either go to a doctor or you leave it here. He's smiling. You like that idea?
When you set out to make this, you had an idea about what you wanted to do. You did exactly what you wanted to do. When you look at this film now, it's the film you intended to make.
It is. When I see it, I feel like we really made the movie that I set out to make.
And what journey would you like for the audience to go on? What experience to have, other than to come out of the theater and say?
Well, I mean, I think it's different for everyone, but I hope that you know, takes you away for 2 hours.
Clearly
to
that. I mean,
Tokyo.
that's the purpose of entertainment
Yeah.
in part.
Yeah, and then also, I mean, I hope...
Engage you for 2 hours and you forget who you are and where you were.
Yeah, and it's like going to Tokyo for 2 hours, and then, I mean, for me, watching Bill Murray is such a delight, and, but when people tell me afterwards that they've had, you know, an emotional experience, or they tell me, oh, I've had something like that, that's my life, you know, that's a great, you know, for me that's great if people can relate to it, and I feel like a lot of people have had these kind of brief encounters or moments in life that aren't part of your real life.
When did you know you want to, I mean, you obviously, you wrote this. When did you know that this is what I want to make a movie about? This idea of a brief encounter that has consequences.
I mean, I set out to make a kind of an intimate story between these two characters in Tokyo, and I wanted...
You started with characters, or did it start with...
I started with Tokyo.
Tokyo.
Yeah, it started with the idea of Tokyo. I wanted to shoot there, and also just my friend there was singing God Save the Queen and karaoke in Tokyo, and just the kind of combination of different cultures and Americans being there. And then within that, I wanted to do an intimate story between these two characters, and something romantic that is about a brief moment that you can meet someone and spend 2 days with them, and that can be just as important as someone you've known for years.
Do you share with the actors, you know, the whole idea of, I'm not sure how movies are made these days, but the idea of watching a work in progress, so that they want to watch what used to be called rushes, if they want to see it in progress, their own performance, they can? Or do you want to keep that contained within your own sense?
We didn't really watch the dailies very much. Bill came one time, but I think Scarlett didn't want to see them because I think it interrupted her work, maybe. Or, but I was happy to have Bill come one time just to see what the film looked like, because I was excited with the cinematography. I thought we had this kind of really rough crew, but I thought the photography looked really beautiful. So.
Rough crew meaning?
I mean, our shoot wasn't, you know, it was just very run and gun and not, you know, traditional. So the fact that the result I thought looked nice was something I wanted to encourage the cast.
Can you say about this movie that it's more about the characters than it is the narrative? That
yeah, and also I think
we're engaged by
mood.
them, and where it goes is not necessarily what carries us forward.
Yeah, it's definitely not plot driven. It's the characters, and I think just the atmosphere and the mood of it, kind of sustaining that.
At what point did you show it to your father?
I showed him when we had a rough cut, an early cut. I showed it to him. I like to show him an early cut because he has good notes or advice.
He gives good advice. And what did he say?
He's just really great at thinking. When you're editing, you have to think about shuffling the pieces in a way that you didn't intend to when you wrote the script. So, you know, he always stressed how to make the first act really clear, make sure the audience is clear right from what's going, and so I kept that in mind, and you know, just the idea that you can shuffle things around is helpful to hear.
What's interesting is that this is a movie about a man, essentially. I mean, there's a woman who's going through something, but the central character is a actor in a kind of midlife crisis who's finding himself, and this encounter, you know, helps to inform him.
Yeah,
so you're writing a man's narrative.
Yeah, it was mostly he's the main character, and then, of course, her character. I enjoyed writing his character because, you know, it was fun to be in the mind of a character that's so different than my reality, and, you know, what I could imagine that to be like. And it's also, you know, funny to me to imagine what Bill Murray would do in certain situations.
How much of you is in this?
There's a lot of me in it. There's a lot of my personality and what I like and my experiences and what
It's
I've
all
overheard.
about that. Yeah, I mean, even in choice of Tokyo.
Yeah, and even the locations. That hotel is a hotel that I always stay at.
Otherwise, they wouldn't have let you shoot there, probably.
I think so.
But in what other way is this a reflection of you and who you are and what you're about and your sensitivities?
I think in the way the idea of the romantic aspect of it, what I think is romantic, and
what do you think is romantic?
And that I'm a romantic, and when I was talking to Bill Murray, and he sees himself as a romantic, and I think that's what we put into the movie. But I don't know, it's kind of like I think in some ways more like an older romance from, you know, I liked Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall.
In some of the movies of the 40s and 50s.
Yeah, it has a kind of innocent romantic feeling that I think is in there, but I don't know what it says about me, but it's you know, a combination.
It reflects. I mean,
Yeah, it's what I think is funny and what I think
Exactly.
is beautiful.
And colors and
the
and
music.
mood.
Yeah,
You
and the
know,
mood.
the music is from where? There's a group in.
There's a band, Kevin Shields, who wrote in a band called My Bloody Valentine. He wrote some original music, and then Brian Reitzel picked source music. So it was a combination of things.
You do a lot of things. You make movies. You have this business. You have this whole collection of friends, and people who write about you say you're at the center of it. I mean, there is some. If this is a wheel, you're there at the center, and there's a certain calmness about you, and almost a certain quiet about you. When you read that, does it ring true?
I don't know. I mean, I think everybody has their world around them, you know, and your friends or people that support you. So I don't know.
You know the success of the movie already. You know what critics say.
It's so exciting that our reviews came out and the theaters were filled this weekend. It's been very exciting.
And in what way is it an affirmation, a coming out, you know, for you?
It's just exciting because I'm proud of the film. I do feel like we made something that we set out to make, and I really, it's things that I love, and it's personal to me. So I'm surprised that, you know, there's something private. It's always surprising that people connect to it that you have, you know, maybe don't have other things in common with. So it's exciting.
Do you think any of this, I mean, the fact that the movie's getting reviews and this kind of cover story, which is intriguing, what do your friends say about that? I mean, are people surprised that?
My friends are really happy for me that, you know, and especially like, you know, there aren't that many female, I mean, there are, but, you know, another girl
It is the
doing
emergence of,
things.
as they said here, America's most promising directors.
Well, I don't know about that, but I'm happy that, you know, that people are going to see the movie. And
Do you know what you're going to do next?
I don't. I've been working on this. We shot it a year ago, so I've been working non-stop, so I'm looking forward to taking a break. But I'd like to get back to writing because I enjoy the whole process.
But do you fully think of yourself, if I said to you, what's your principal passion other than living, you would say directing movies?
Yeah, making movies. I mean, it's you know, be able to be creative and make this world that you have in you is nothing
What was
like
that
it.
great quote? It was in this article, a great quote from John Cassavetes, who to his daughter, who's your friend. And it's just a wonderful quote. Said, do one creative thing every day.
Oh yeah, I think that's a good rule to live by.
Yeah. And you and Spike, does he influence you in terms of your creative instincts?
I think we
Or
work
vice versa?
no. I think we work so differently. Our approach and our style is very different. But he always made a point of, you know, surrounding yourself with a great crew. And I met my KK, the production designer, through Spike. So in that way, from some of the people he works with. But I think we both approach our work really differently.
The family is close. I mean, your dad seems to be, to read about stories about your dad, when you were growing up, you were going from one movie location to another. You were in the Philippines. You were everywhere, wherever he was making a movie.
Yeah,
Because he thought the cultural impact of that would be more important than whatever you might be learning in school at that time.
Yeah, he always took us on location, and it was always, you know, an adventure. I loved going on location. I ended up going to school in all kinds of places, and I'm not a good mathematician, but because of it. But it was really, you know, I had a lot of interesting experiences.
When did you know, not just about this movie, that what you really wanted to do was make movies?
I wasn't sure, and after college, I tried all these different things and was having angst about it. And then
Angst that you couldn't make up your mind, or that you hadn't found what fit?
That I wasn't great at anything. That I can kind of be okay at certain things, and I had a lot of interest, but I didn't find something that really fit or something. And then when I did a short film, I felt like it was really a combination of all these things that I loved, and I found it really fulfilling.
All the things you love, meaning music and video
Design
and design and
photography.
clothes and costumes and
And that you
and
didn't.
relationships and stories.
Yeah, it was all these things, and you get to work with the experts in each area, so you don't have to be an expert on photography or design. I don't have to go to architecture school, and I get to work with all these experts and just explain how I want to do it, and they help me do all the technical part.
Do you think that as you make the next film that you will move with the same kind of crew that's, you know, not unlike of some other very interesting directors, Woody Allen and others, who essentially work with the same people.
Yeah, no,
A kind of ensemble of talented, technical, and behind-the-scenes people.
Yeah, I enjoy working with the people I've worked with so far, and it's nice to continue the relationship.
What are you reading?
What am I reading?
Do you have time to read anymore?
No, I'm going to go on a vacation next week, so I'm looking forward to reading, but I'm not reading anything right now.
How often do you get to Belize?
Oh, I get to go, you know, once or twice a year. I love going there. My parents are down there now at their place, Turtle Inn.
Just
fixing
reading
it up.
and, you know.
They're fixing it up.
The hotel and
Yeah,
all that's
what-
around the hotel?
Yeah.
Los Angeles is home.
And I have a place in New York
In
as
New
well.
York, you know. I love the idea that Francis always has kept the family central, you know, and in a sense that the home in Napa Valley has always sort of, wherever you are, you know, at some point you come back to the center.
No, I'm so glad that my parents still live there. You know, I grew up off and on when we were on location in Napa, so it's nice to go home now for Thanksgiving or whatever and, you know, see the town where I went to high school. And it's so beautiful there, so I'm glad they have a good winery.
It's amazing, exactly.
It's nice to have a family
makes his own
winery.
wine, yes. The movie is called Lost in Translation. Sofia Coppola, thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure. We'll be right back. Stay with us.